Hello, this is Mete Yurtsever. Today my special guest is Maaike Doyer, the CFO of Business Models Inc. Welcome, Maaike. I'm delighted to have you in my podcast.
Welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. So let me give a very quick introduction for our listeners. Maaike started her career as a financial consultant, but for the last 10 years, she's working on developing business models, teaching in business schools, and mentoring startups. Am I right? Is it anything big missing?
Absolutely. No, that is all correct.
Thank you. So I listened to Maaike in a Design Management Institute's webinar. It was about your workshop announcement with DMI in Boston in September this year. So you talked also about the project you accomplished with a company based in Turkey. I thought you'll be a great guest and inspire more people in business, Turkish business community. Thanks again for accepting my invitation.
Wonderful. Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm happy to contribute.
Thank you. So I think everyone who's involved in entrepreneurship and business modeling in some way knows about the book Business Model Generation, or the famous business model canvas issued by your company, right?
Yes, correct. That is indeed how it all started in 2008 when we published the book Business Model Generation with the business model canvas in there. None of us expected that it would be such a big movement as it is today, right? I think we sold over 4 million copies at this moment globally.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's really impressive to see. And I'm so happy to see that everyone is using it. That's what really is excited.
And so it's translated in over 25 languages, right? So I read
35
the Turkish
even.
one.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
in 35 languages even. So the main languages in the world, I dare to say, it is available. So yeah, that's really cool. Indeed, including the Turkish edition.
Yeah. And can you briefly remind us what is the model is about and what is the book is about?
So the whole business model canvas is basically it's this one pager where you as an organization can define how you can create, deliver, and capture value. And because we all know this situation that you have a new idea, for example, I think with our company we need to go online. And then before you know it, you have 20 meetings with many people talking about what do we do if we need to go online? How does that work? But what we say is like those meetings, please don't do them, right? They're useless. It's a lot of blah blah.
Yeah.
But you still need to go through a lot of those thinking steps. And that's where the business model canvas can really be of a lot of help because it's the simple one pager. It looks simple, but once you work with it, you'll see like, oh, there's a lot of thought behind this, where you can define who's my customer, what's my value, what about my channel. And because it's so very visual, you can literally put it up on the wall and you can make sure that everyone in your team has the same common language about what you're talking about. So instead of doing 20 meetings, you do 1 or 2 meetings and then you have it all figured out.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I also tried a couple of times in my practice. So it's amazing how people get new ideas. I mean, as they go through the canvas. Although this is their business every day, but they keep discovering new things when they look at the connections and the links between those boxes, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what you say. That's the whole thing because the world is changing so fast. I mean, look at what happened in the last 2 weeks. It's insane, and there's a lot of uncertainty that's happening around us. And how this business model canvas can help you is like, what if this scenario actually really happens? What would my business model look like? Is there something I should do or that something that I want to do to change it? And with this business model canvas, very fast, and you can be very agile and look at like, how does my business model change in this ever-changing world?
And you say there is no one single tool that is a holy grail. It's about tools, skills, and the mindset. You
Yes.
need to design your business model. So, and you talk about this design doing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
True. It's indeed the single right solution does not exist because every time I'm meeting with companies, they are like, Can you give me the best business model? Well, there is not such a thing as the best business models. You always have multiple options. And I think what we need to train ourselves is to really think in options and and always be open for something else that unexpectedly might happen. But if you
Hmm.
are used to being agile, that really works. I mean, I've seen so many people writing all these beautiful business plans, but
Hmm.
it takes 3 months, maybe 6 months, right, to write a business plan. And by the time
Hmm.
the ink is dry, the world changed again, right? So please stop
Right.
writing business plans. I That may be the best news of today, right? Like, stop writing business plans, but
Yeah.
use something like the business model canvas. And there are other tools as well, but I think the business model canvas is a very good one to use.
Yeah, your words are music to my ears, really, because this business planning and I mean, in my corporate, let's say, career, we kept on, making these business plans over and over. I mean, the strategic business plans that was for 3 years, but you keep on refreshing it every year, and it takes months, it takes many versions and everything, and at the end, no one goes back and checks it. I mean, like, it's you just that
Yes.
was killing me. I mean, so, but again, if there is no plan, what to do instead? I mean, if how to cool off the CEO or the CFO who needs numbers to present at the board or at the roadshow or something. I mean, how do
Yeah,
you? Yeah.
that's a question I get asked a lot, specifically around the numbers, because every time that we create a plan, people want to see an Excel spreadsheet as well. And that's the same as this business plan. I mean, I have never in my whole life seen a spreadsheet that turned out to be true. Never
Right.
ever, right? And I think if you all think about yourself, like, did you ever see one? Probably not, right? So,
Hmm.
and what you see is there is a difference between what we call search and execute. And sometimes, when we talk about execute, you basically know what you're doing. You've done it before. Maybe you've done it like 50 or 100 times before, so then you can make an Excel spreadsheet. That's fine. If that makes you happy, then go ahead and do it, because you've done it and you have a higher certainty that that actually will happen. But if
Hmm.
you are coming up with something new, something that you really want to, strategically change your company, or you see that there are new disruptors coming up there, you've never done that before. You're in the
Hmm.
search mode, and so in that
Hmm.
case, please don't go to Excel or to business plans. But what you can do, and use these tools. But the most important part is what we call get out of the building, really
Hmm.
speak with customers and
Hmm.
find your proof and your evidence outside. And when you do that properly, that will convince the boards, and to, like, oh yeah, hold on, this is indeed true what you're saying. You actually have
Hmm.
proof, you have evidence that is not a
Hmm.
spreadsheet, but it's actually a human being. Yeah,
Hmm.
how can we do that? That's a different way of thinking.
Right. And unfortunately, it seldom happens. I mean,
Yep.
the companies are mostly trapped in their categories, in their products, and what they can actually, provide as a service or as a product to the market. And the marketing teams and sales teams are struggling to pack it and to sell it in a way, rather than finding an unmet need, or let's say something that is desirable for the consumer.
It's so funny. Like, the other week, I was speaking with one of my clients, and they were developing a new product for babies and for moms and babies.
Hmm.
So they worked on it seriously for 3 months, and I spoke with them, and I was like, "Oh, cool, right? So, how many moms did you actually speak with?"
Mm.
And they looked at me in shock and were like, "No, no, no, we're just developing the idea." I said, "Yeah, I get that, right? But I mean, you can just go and ask a couple of moms. And
Right.
how many of you have children recently?" Even that was very limited. And I'm
Yeah.
like, so what's the problem? And then they really looked shocked, like, I don't know how to get out of the building. I don't. It's a secret. I don't want the competition to know yet. We're working on
Right.
this. But I'm like,
Yeah.
that's just an excuse. I mean, nothing good ever happened inside the office, right? So, yeah,
Uh-huh.
please get out of the building. Speak with those moms and anyone else. Yeah.
Hmm. Great. Great. Okay, so maybe we can move on to Wavin case that
Yes.
you accomplished in Turkey. Can you tell us about how did they came to you? How did they find you? And how did they, how did you get involved?
Yeah, this is a very interesting one. And so Wavin is indeed, it's a Dutch company as well. So they have their
Mm-hmm.
headquarters as well in the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
So that was of course our connection at that time. We have an office in the Netherlands. I'm actually personally I'm no longer in the Netherlands. This happened a few
Mm-hmm.
years ago. I'm currently living in San Francisco.
Great.
And that's, I mean, we can fill a whole other podcast about that, by the way, about Silicon Valley and what's happening there,
Yeah,
but that's
exactly.
not today's topic. And
Yeah.
so, but if you talk about Wavin, what happened there is they saw that they were losing market share, and they were like,
Mm-hmm.
how can we get position as market leader in the plastic pipe systems and solutions in Turkey? Yeah? Because for those of you who don't know Wavin, they basically make all these plastic pipes. And so that's
Right.
for plumbing, etc. That's everything that's hidden but super essential in your buildings. That is what they do.
Right.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so the CFO and the CEO, they're both Dutch people, and that's how we got connected.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, they asked their own team, like, what can we do? Well, what did the team say? Like, we need to change the factory. We need to build a new factory close to Istanbul, because
Yeah.
that's really going to help us, and it's going to cost us 60 million. But that's what we're going to do, 60 million euro. But
Mm-hmm.
luckily, the CEO and the CFO were like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
How can we stay competitive if we do
Mm-hmm.
that, right? Because pricing, of course, is an important element as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so they didn't really believe it. So they called us and like, hey, can you help us to find other options? What
Mm-hmm.
can we do to really help us to improve business results? What are the other options
Mm-hmm.
that are out there? So
Mm-hmm.
that was the starting point.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we Turks, we like construction a lot. We keep building, we keep investing into the ground our money. But so how was what was the your solution, if it's not a commercial secret, or I mean anything that you can mention about it?
Yeah,
What
the
was,
cool part is we actually won an award with this case. So luckily we can disclose a little bit more than we usually can.
mm-hmm.
And so this is all a little bit more out in the open. So
Mm-hmm.
what we did together with the team, we got together in Istanbul with the people from Mavin in Istanbul as well, and we started to do a massive brainstorm. Like, what is
Mm-hmm.
it that we can all do? We
Mm-hmm.
actually came up with almost 400 ideas
Mm-hmm.
about like what else can we do, right, besides building a factory. And
Mm-hmm.
we had 6 business model options. We narrowed it down to 6 business model options, and there were options like, what if we can do 3D printing on site? And so, for
Mm-hmm.
example, when you want to order some new pipes, instead of
Mm-hmm.
going through the whole process, you can just print on demand, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't need the whole shipping anymore. Oh, sounds a cool
Mm-hmm.
idea.
Mm-hmm.
What if you do online ordering? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So as a plumber, when you're on the site and you're like, oh, I need some more materials, you just do it
Mm-hmm.
online and it comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were a few ideas that we done, but hey, we did that all in the room, right? It was, and that's
Mm-hmm.
just a week boot camp. I'm not talking about months here. I'm just talking
Mm-hmm.
about a boot camp of a few days, and then we
Mm-hmm.
came up with all these cool ideas. And then, of course, the real fun starts,
Mm-hmm.
and the getting out of the building, which we immediately
Mm-hmm.
did. And
Mm-hmm.
I hope you notice the difference, because normally, people are like, no, 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 it's just an idea, it's just a little post-it note. We need to further
Mm-hmm.
think about this, but we're like, no, no,
Yeah.
no. Let's just go out, right? Let's
Yeah.
let's just speak with people. And
Mm-hmm.
in 8 weeks' time, we actually visited over 400 plumbers. We
Oh.
visited about 20 distributors, because as you can imagine, all these materials, they end up at a distributor, and that's where the contractors and the plumbers buy it. And we
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
spoke with contractors, regular contractors, mechanical contractors, all in 8 weeks' time, and that was super cool. What they really saw is that a lot of our assumptions turned out not to be true. And
Mm-hmm.
because all those cool ideas that we had with online ordering and 3D printing, we noticed that a lot of the plumbers, for example, did not even have smartphones.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you're like, cool idea on a piece of paper in a meeting room.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
in reality, when you're there, how are they going to do that, right? That just doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's just a stupid
Hmm.
idea. The other thing that we learned is that the distributors, where you buy all the materials, it had a
Hmm.
big social function. It was
Hmm.
not just the practical job to be done. Okay, let's buy some materials, but it was
Hmm.
also about social meeting people, drinking tea, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
also meeting the people for your next job as a plumber.
Hmm.
So it's super important, and as a contractor as well.
Hmm.
Um, and also it turned because the assumption was that the contractor, the mechanical contractor, was the most important one,
Hmm.
because that was in other countries that is actually the case. Turned
Hmm.
out it's not the case in Turkey, right?
Hmm.
And
Right.
what they really saw, the other thing that we saw, because we visited all these construction sites, the quality was not always what you want it to be, right? So we took
True.
some pictures, and you were like, "Uh-oh, shock!" Right?
Hmm.
This isn't. That's our Wavin was all about. Like, this is not what people need to do with our stuff, right? They're
Yeah.
using it in the wrong way. This is
Yeah.
gonna break, or this is just not gonna be right.
Hmm.
So with all those learnings, we got back together again, and we're like, hmm, we see that all that online stuff, it's not going to help, right? It's not going to
Hmm.
change anything. What
Hmm.
we really need to change is how people use our materials, because
Right.
if they use it properly,
Hmm.
it's going to be eventually way cheaper for everyone involved, and everyone is just going to be way more happy. It's going to be faster, everything is going to be better.
Hmm.
And also the other thing was, they heard from a lot of plumbers. They said that they wanted to have some how-to videos, and they wanted to have manuals, or they wanted to
Hmm.
have direct connection with some experts. So with
Hmm.
all that together, we're like, you know what? Let's build an academy, and
Hmm.
let's build an academy really for the plumbers that
Hmm.
also has the social function, the same as we saw with the distributors, but
True.
also has the that learning and education to really make this a better plumber.
Hmm.
So that's eventually what we did.
Great. Sounds great. I mean, like it's sometimes you think that it's about the product, it's about the communication of it, whatever. But
Yeah,
it's actually, if you have a superior product and if people don't use it to all its capacity, so here you are. I mean, like the solution that you think you have actually doesn't exist if you don't follow through the chain. I mean, like, right?
exactly. And what is really cool, like, the last numbers I have are about from last year, but 21,000 plumbers actually already attended the academy,
Wow.
which is massive, which of
Yeah.
course led to better customer relationships, and it
Hmm.
led to a revenue growth of 136% due to the
Wow.
academies.
Wow.
And they also expanded outside of Turkey. They
Hmm.
already have 5 academies worldwide in the Netherlands, in Italy,
Hmm.
Czech Republic, and there are more to come in Europe. And
Hmm.
what I
Hmm.
really love, I'm a financial person. What I love,
Right.
because it started off with 60 million to spend in a factory. This
Yeah.
academy, the cost was only 400,000 euros, and that was it.
Yeah.
Right,
You see? Yeah.
super cheap. And indeed,
Yeah.
you don't need to do all crazy stuff, but you really need to understand who your customer is, and what you can
Exactly.
do to help them.
Exactly. Great. Great. So, I mean, as a final question, Mikey, if the signature question of my podcast is about what's your formula of creating value? Although you talked about it throughout our session, but can you summarize what is your formula for creating value?
Yeah, I think that's, and of course, the getting out of the building, as we spoke about a lot, but not
Hmm.
just getting out of the building, also keeping on what we call a beginner's mindset. Be
Hmm.
really curious, be really open. Don't think you know it all. because usually
Hmm.
you don't. But really have that beginner's mindset, to look at the world in a different point of view and to come up with new ideas on how to create value in that
Hmm.
ecosystem that you're part of.
Hmm. Great. Mikey, it was a great session, I believe. And please tell us how our listeners can reach out to you. What is your preferred way for them to reach out?
LinkedIn is
Uh,
probably the most easy way to reach out. Don't hesitate to send me a message, send me your business models or any other questions that you might have.
Great. So I believe, I hope after this podcast, people will have a new idea on how to proceed with their businesses.
Absolutely, I'm excited to see all the new business models popping up in Turkey.
Thank you, Mikey.
Thank you.